The room spun in a haze of laughter, the kind that echoes off walls like shattering glass. My hands trembled as I peeled back the festive wrapping paper, the metallic gold crinkling under my fingers like a cruel joke. 40 candles flickered on the cake across the table, their flames dancing mockingly in the dim light of our living room, packed with friends and family who'd traveled hours to celebrate my milestone birthday. Sarah, my wife of 12 years, stood beside me, her eyes sparkling with what I mistook for excitement. Her lips curved in that mischievous grin she'd worn since our college days. "Open it, Mark. You've been dying for this," she teased, her voice laced with a giggle that now, in hindsight, sounded like the hiss of a snake. The box was small, elegant, tied with a red ribbon that slipped free with a whisper. Inside, nestled on black velvet, lay not the vintage watch I'd hinted at for months, but a stack of crisp, legal documents. My heart stuttered as I scanned the header. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Divorce papers. Signed by her. The room's chatter faded to a buzzing silence in my ears, broken only by the sharp intake of my breath. I looked up, searching her face for the punchline, but she burst into laughter, loud, uncontrollable peals that infected a few uncertain guests. "Gotcha! Oh my God, your face!" she howled, clutching her sides as if this were the pinnacle of hilarity. Humiliation burned through me like acid, scorching my cheeks, my chest, my soul. The papers trembled in my grip, the ink blurring as tears, unbidden, traitorous, welled in my eyes. Our friends shifted uncomfortably, some forcing awkward chuckles, others exchanging glances that screamed pity. My sister, Ellen, froze with her wine glass halfway to her lips, her eyes wide with horror. Dad, ever the stoic, cleared his throat and muttered something about cake. But Sarah, she wiped tears of mirth from her eyes, oblivious or uncaring, and slapped my shoulder playfully. "Come on, babe, it's just a prank. Lighten up, happy birthday." I forced a smile, the muscles in my face aching like pulled strings, and mumbled, "Yeah, hilarious." But inside, a storm raged. Heartbreak clawed at my chest, raw and unrelenting, as fragments of our life together flashed before me. The late-night talks in our tiny apartment, the vows we'd exchanged under a rainy gazebo, the miscarriages we'd endured hand in hand. How could she turn that into a joke? In front of everyone. The resentment seeded then, a dark root burrowing deep, twisting with the fury of a man stripped bare. I excused myself to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, staring at my reflection, a 40-year-old fool with crow's feet and a shattered ego. Denial whispered that it was just her sense of humor, quirky and bold, the thing I'd fallen for. But doubt crept in. Was this a sign? A Freudian slip revealing cracks I'd ignored. That night, after the guests trickled out with sympathetic pats on my back, Sarah curled against me in bed, her breath warm on my neck. "You're not mad, right? It was epic. The look on your face." Her voice was light, expectant, as if my forgiveness was a given. I lay there, rigid, the sheets cool and unforgiving against my skin. "No, it's fine," I lied, my words tasting like ash. But in the darkness, obsession took hold. I replayed the moment endlessly. The crinkle of paper, the collective gasp, her laughter echoing like a taunt. Anger simmered, bubbling into fantasies of justice. Simple at first, like walking out the door with nothing but my dignity. Then darker, exposing her own secrets, the ones she'd buried deep. Guilt nipped at the edges. She was my wife, flawed but mine. Yet the humiliation festered, a wound that wouldn't heal. The next morning, over coffee that tasted bitter no matter how much sugar I stirred in, Sarah hummed cheerfully while scrolling her phone. Our kitchen, once a haven of shared breakfasts, felt claustrophobic, the granite counters gleaming coldly under the fluorescent lights, the scent of burnt toast hanging heavy. "You know, Mark, you really need to learn to laugh at yourself," she said casually, not looking up. "Life's too short for grudges." Her words ignited a spark of rage I barely suppressed. "And too short for public humiliation." I shot back, my voice low and even, testing the waters. She paused, her thumb hovering over the screen, then laughed again, dismissive this time. "Oh, come on. It was a prank. Everyone thought it was funny." Not everyone. Ellen called later that day, her voice tight with concern over the phone's crackling line. That was messed up, bro. Are you okay? We talked for an hour in my home office, the walls lined with bookshelves sagging under the weight of forgotten novels, the air thick with a musty scent of paper. I paced the creaky hardwood floor, confessing the hurt that gnawed at me. It felt real, Ellen. Like she meant it. My sister sighed, her empathy a balm but also a fuel. Sarah's always been impulsive. But that crossed a line. What are you going to do? The question hung there, pregnant with possibility. Do nothing yet. But the seed of revenge sprouted, watered by resentment. I imagined her face crumpling in shock, the tables turned. Doubt warred within. Was I overreacting? Moral conflict twisted my gut. Revenge was petty, beneath me. Or was it justice? Days blurred into a routine laced with tension. At work, in the sterile glow of my cubicle's fluorescent bulbs, surrounded by the hum of keyboards and muffled phone calls, I stared at spreadsheets that swam before my eyes. Colleagues noticed my distraction, offering half-hearted jokes about midlife crises. But my mind wandered to Sarah's prank. Why divorce papers? Why not something innocuous like a fake lottery ticket? Subtle hints emerged. Her late nights at the office, the password-protected phone she guarded like a treasure. Paranoia. Or intuition. I began watching her more closely. The way she smiled at texts, the faint scent of unfamiliar cologne on her clothes after girls' nights. Heartbreak deepened into obsession, each observation a brick in the wall of my resolve. One evening, as rain pelted the windows like accusatory fingers, we sat on the couch watching a thriller. Ironic, given the plot twisting in my own life. The leather creaked under us, the room lit only by the TV's flickering blue light, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. Sarah leaned her head on my shoulder, but her touch felt foreign, laced with betrayal. "Remember our first date?" she murmured during a lull. "You spilled wine all over me, and I laughed it off." I nodded, but inside fury boiled. "Yeah, but that wasn't in front of an audience." My tone was sharper than intended. She pulled back, her eyes narrowing in the dim light. "Are we really still on this?" "It was a joke, Mark. Grow up." Her words were a match to dry tinder. I stood, the remote clattering to the floor, and paced the rug's worn threads. "A joke? You served me divorce papers on my birthday. In front of everyone." My voice rose, echoing off the walls. She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms over her chest. "God, you're so sensitive." "It was funny, admit it." The argument escalated, voices overlapping in a cacophony of accusations. "You've been distant for months," I spat. "Is there someone else?" Her face paled for a fraction of a second, foreshadowing I noted like a detective. "What?" "Well, you're paranoid." But the denial rang hollow, her eyes darting away. We went to bed in silence, the space between us a chasm. That night, sleep evaded me, the sheets tangled around my legs like restraints. Inner thoughts churned, fantasies of confrontation, of uncovering proof, of making her feel the same sting. Guilt whispered that I was descending into madness, but cold resolve hardened. I slipped out of bed, the floorboards creaking underfoot, and crept to her nightstand. Her phone glowed softly in the dark. The password, our anniversary, unlocked it easily. Messages from Alex flooded the screen. Flirty emojis, late-night meetups, admissions of love. Betrayal hit like a gut punch, stealing my breath. Not just a prank, a cover. Test. Heartbreak morphed into rage, pure and unfiltered. I photographed the evidence, my hands steady despite the tremor in my soul. Morning brought feigned normalcy. Sarah kissed my cheek goodbye, her lips cool as she headed to work. I called in sick, the lie smooth on my tongue, and sat at the kitchen table, the sun streaming through blinds in slanted rays that highlighted dust motes like floating accusations. Planning began in earnest. Not impulsive destruction, but calculated retaliation. I'd expose her affair at her own milestone. Her promotion party next month. Poetic justice. But doubt lingered. Was revenge worth the fallout? Moral conflict raged. Two wrongs didn't make right, yet the humiliation demanded balance. Obsession gripped me. Every quiet moment filled with scenarios, each more intricate. Weeks passed in a slow burn of suspense. I played the doting husband, compliments flowing like honey, while resentment simmered beneath. Subtle hints of my scheme emerged. A mysterious package I hid in the garage, the late-night work calls I took in whispers. Sarah noticed the shift, her brow furrowing during dinners where the clink of forks on plates punctuated uneasy silences. "You're acting weird," she said one night over pasta that stuck in my throat. "Everything okay?" I smiled, the expression not reaching my eyes. "Never better." Tension built, invisible threads tightening. As her promotion party approached, the air thickened with anticipation. Our home buzzed with preparations, streamers dangling like nooses, caterers bustling with trays of hors d'oeuvres that smelled of garlic and regret. Friends arrived, their chatter a backdrop to my inner turmoil. Fear gnawed. What if it backfired? Guilt resurfaced, a wave threatening to drown my resolve. But the memory of my birthday fueled me. The laughter, the pitying stares. Tonight she'd unwrap her own surprise. The party pulsed with energy. The living room transformed into a glittering arena under string lights that twinkled like false stars. Champagne flutes clinked, laughter rose in waves, and the scent of fresh flowers mingled with perfumes, creating a heady atmosphere that masked the storm brewing within me. Sarah, radiant in a red dress that hugged her curves, the same one she'd worn on our 10th anniversary, mingled with colleagues, her promotion to VP the night's centerpiece. Alex was there, of course, lurking in the corner like a shadow, his hand brushing hers in accidental touches that set my teeth on edge. I watched from afar, nursing a scotch that burned down my throat, fueling the cold resolve that had crystallized over weeks. Inner conflict tore at me as guests congratulated her. Obsession had led here, but doubt whispered retreat. Destroying her publicly mirrored her cruelty, morally gray at best. Yet resentment overrode it. The affair's proof burned in my pocket, a USB drive loaded with screenshots, emails, even hotel receipts I'd unearthed through discreet digging. No hacking, just following trails she'd left carelessly. Heartbreak lingered, a dull ache, but fury sharpened my focus. This wasn't just revenge. It was reclamation. As the evening peaked, toasts began. Sarah's boss, a portly man with a booming voice, raised his glass amid the crowd's hush. To Sarah, brilliant, dedicated, and now our newest VP. Cheers erupted, glasses sparkling in the light. She beamed, stepping forward, her heels clicking on the hardwood like ticking clocks. "Thank you all," she said, her voice warm and confident. "And to my amazing husband Mark, who supported me through everything." Her eyes met mine, a flicker of something, guilt, affection, passing through. My stomach twisted. Was this genuine or manipulation? I stepped up, uninvited, the room's attention shifting like a spotlight. "I'd like to say a few words too," I announced, my voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. Sarah's smile faltered slightly, a subtle hint of unease. The air grew thick, conversations dying to whispers. I pulled out the USB, plugging it into the projector we'd set up for a slideshow of her career highlights. The screen flickered to life, not with photos of boardrooms, but with the damning messages. "I love you, Alex. Can't wait to leave him." Gasps rippled through the crowd, the room's warmth turning icy. Sarah's face drained of color, her eyes widening in shock that mirrored my own from weeks ago. "What the hell, Mark?" she hissed, stepping toward me, but the slides advanced. Hotel bookings, intimate photos she'd sent him. Humiliation washed over her, visible in the tremble of her hands, the way she clutched her dress. Friends murmured, colleagues averted eyes. The party's joy curdling into awkward silence. Alex bolted for the door, his face ashen, but I blocked his path mentally, savoring the chaos. "This is your prank, Sarah," I said calmly, my words cutting through the tension like a knife. "Hilarious, right?" She grabbed my arm, nails digging in through my shirt, pulling me to the kitchen where the caterers pretended not to listen. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows on her tear-streaked face. "How could you? This is my career." Her voice cracked, raw with fury and fear. I leaned in, the scent of her perfume, once intoxicating, now cloying. "How could I? After what you did?" The divorce papers weren't a joke. They were a preview. Denial flashed in her eyes, then crumbled. "It started as fun. Alex was just... I didn't mean..." But her words trailed off, admissions spilling like confessions. The argument unfolded in hushed tones, suppressed rage boiling over. "You've been cheating for months," I accused, my voice low but venomous. "The prank was your way of testing the waters, wasn't it? See if I'd fight or fold." She shook her head, but guilt etched her features. "No. Yes. I was scared. Our marriage was stale, Mark. But this... You're ruining everything." Moral conflict surged within me. Her pain echoed mine, a mirror of betrayal. Was I the villain now? Obsession blinded me. Revenge tasted bittersweet, laced with regret. Guests began leaving, the front door creaking open and shut like a judgment. Ellen pulled me aside in the hallway, the walls closing in with family photos mocking our happiness. "You went nuclear, bro, was it worth it?" Her concern pierced the haze, planting seeds of doubt. As the house emptied, Sarah collapsed on the couch, sobbing into her hands. The room, once alive, felt hollow, the streamers sagging, glasses abandoned like relics. I sat across from her, the distance vast. "Why, Sarah? Really?" My question hung heavy. She looked up, eyes red-rimmed, vulnerability cracking her facade. "I thought the prank would shake things up, make you jealous, fight for us. But Alex... he made me feel alive again. After the miscarriages, we drifted. I was wrong, but so are you." Her words humanized her, revealing layers. Not a monster, but a woman lost in resentment of our stagnant life. Heartbreak resurfaced for both. Guilt weighed on me. Had my revenge healed or deepened the wound? The night dragged on, tension coiling like a spring. We talked raw, honest, for hours, unearthing buried hurts. But as dawn broke, pale light filtering through curtains, a twist emerged. Sarah stood, wiping her face, and retrieved the envelope from her purse. "You want the truth. Those divorce papers weren't entirely fake." She slid them across the table, the paper whispering against wood. Signed, dated, before the party. I was going to file for real. The prank was my coward's way out. Shock jolted me, fury reigniting. But then the unexpected. "But after tonight, I see what I've lost." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Poetic justice twisted. My exposure had forced her confession, but at what cost? Our marriage lay in ruins, careers tarnished. Whispers of scandal would follow her promotion. Friendships strained. Cold resolve faded into exhaustion. Obsession giving way to hollow victory. In the end, I walked out, the door clicking shut behind me like a final punctuation. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of rain-washed streets. Revenge delivered, but the psychological impact lingered. A morally gray triumph, laced with unintended consequences. Sarah's laughter had started it. My silence ended it. And in the quiet, I wondered if justice ever truly balanced the scales.